Hello everyone, my name is Vasrista and I'm here to present our presentation on big data privacy. So my group members are Praveen Patra, Neeraj Lavadi and Tithivan. So let's begin our presentation. So our first slide is table of contents. So here we have the topics that we have covered in our presentation. So let's begin our presentation. Our first topic is introduction of big data and privacy. So big data are the huge large data sets that are collected via different sources to reveal pattern trends and associations which are analyzed and then represented in graphs, especially relating to human behaviors and interactions. So big data are reflected by three ways: volume, velocity and variety. So volume represents the size of the data, and similarly, velocity means it measures how fast the data is coming into the system, and variety means that there are different types of data while collecting it, like videos, PDFs, images, which later on are being converted into Excels and CSVs. So data are collected via different sources in big data, like networking sites like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So similarly, there are different sensor networks that sensor devices which collect the big data, and similarly, internet, healthcare applications, and there are lots of different other applications which collects the huge data for big databases. So privacy is, I guess every one of us knows what privacy is. It is the state of condition being free from being observed or disturbed by anyone. So our next slide is big data privacy. So all the measures and tools which are used to secure or guard the data and analyze the process from attack thefts and other malicious activities is big data privacy. So with huge amount of data being collected every day, the users data is at high risk, being is at high risk every day. So data can be stolen by the third parties for their personal benefits, and the data privacy is focused on the use and governance of individual data and minimize the risk and protect the sensitive data of the data owner. So our next slide is history and literature review of big data privacy. So data security became significant topic or important in 1980s, a time when the computer clubs were being formed and also where the malware, different viruses were being introduced in the 1980s to attack the PCs, to hack the servers. So similarly, a major attack happened in 2012 March, where a major credit reporting agency in United States suffered the largest big data breach in history, which created a large effect on the internet and raised many questions about the security of the data. So phases of big data privacy. So that's our next topic, and there are three different phases of big data privacy. That's data generation phase, data storage phase, and data processing phase. And the image shows it. So let's begin with data generation phase. So data generation phase can be classified into active and passive. They are two different. So active data generation means that the data owner is willing to provide the data to the third party. That means the third party can they use the owner's data with their permission. So similarly, passive data generation is the one that is collected without the permission of the owner while the owner is browsing the internet or doing some other online activities which is unaware of. Similarly, our next topic is data storage phase. We have five different types of encryption on this phase. So the first one is attribute based encryption, in which the data owner sets access policy to access the data, which can only be accessed when we meet the policy set by the data owner. So similarly, the next one is identity based encryption, in which we need to use our email ID or IP address as a encryption text. So we can encrypt the data. So homomorphic encryption is the encryption in which allows functions to be encrypted on the data. So we need to compute the function to encrypt the data. Similarly, the storage path encryption helps to secure the storage of big data in the cloud. And similarly, in uses of hybrid clouds, it uses private cloud and the third party to secure the data and not allow it to associated with unauthorized individuals. So the next slide is data processing phase. There are two phases in data processing phase, and they are first phase and the second phase. So the first phase is to secure the information from solitary disclosure, as the collected data may contain information about the data owner, which might be very important to the data owner. And similarly, the next one is like extracting the meaningful information from the data without violating the privacy of the data owner. So that's my take on my topic. So to represent further on, I will like my friend Praveen but try to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Rayas. Hello, everyone. My name is Praveen Bhattrai, and today I am going to present my topics. The first one is challenge of big data privacy. The first point is privacy risks. We can take several advantages from big data, but on the other side, there are a lot of inconvenience that we may face. The confidentiality of user and data protection might be violated if the data is not adequately protected. So, privacy risk is one of the biggest challenge. The second point is big data privacy protection technology is lacking. At the time of data transmission, due to weak supervision of data information and lack of technical support, the use of data information is not of high value or the data is reduced, which brings negative effect on individuals and even in the business. Third point is protecting data transaction data and logs. Transaction of data are in high risk in big data privacy. Many hackers are active to steal the information of different people, so to protect those data and logs if is one of the challenges of big data privacy. Big data credibility needs to be confident. Data are confidential. We all know that, and we also know that the data can give the certain fact information. But if the data cannot be screened properly, it may give a wrong result or decision. The last one is threats to data security. At present condition, people have a serious problem with the security of big data, and they think big data are not safe, and the data can be misused by different social medias and data sharing outside the company and many more, which is also one of the challenge of big data privacy. Big data security and privacy protection uh, is the next slide. And the first one is improve the privacy protection legal mechanism. There should be some proper legal mechanism from society and also from the government side to protect the big data privacy. There should be some penalties to the people who misuse other confidential data. Fully supervised data information in social networks. Data should be supervised in social networks. There should be some mechanism to supervise data so that we can protect the big data privacy. Establish a privacy protection agency. In some countries, there are already some special privacy protection agency to protect citizen privacy and information. It is good to know that, but most of the countries doesn't have such agency. So to protect data, there should be some privacy protection agency. And the last point is improve people awareness and quality of data. There should be awareness about the value and importance of data among the people so that we can protect the big data privacy. And there are different types of attacks in big data. Types of attacks: malware, which is one of the malicious contents like computer virus, and the second one is injection attack. This attack is one of the major attack in NoSQL, which means not only SQL. This is the attack where the piece of malicious code is inserted through the weak point. There are three types of injection attack. One is server side injection. The second one is NoSQL injection, and the third one is cross-site scripting. Uh, and another attack is DOS attack, denial of service. This one is the attack which is used to flood the target with traffic and then send the information on that triggers a machine crash. And then the last one is phishing. This one is the attack where attacker manipulates the users and collects their information, their private or critical information like login details, bank details through using the social networks like Facebook. Now I would like to uh, call Neeraj for the remaining slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Praveen. Now I'm going to continue presentation from the slide. I'm going to be talking about the big data privacy preserving methods. The first method is k-anonymity. The k-anonymity is the process of modification of data before providing it to the data analyst. Therefore, the data de-identification is not possible. If someone tries to de-identification of the data, it leads to the k-indistinguishable records. The possible attack in the k-anonymity is the homogeneity and data knowledge attack. Here we can see the two tables. The first table is before applying the k-anonymity and the second table is after applying the k-anonymity in the age and address column. Here we can see there is a possible homogeneity attack. If the Tony is 56-year-old and his address is 322293, then it concludes that he has a cancer. And if the person knows the Tony is 56 or old and he does not have a diabetes, then he must have the cancer. Now another is the L diversity. To minimize or remove the homogeneity attack, the L diversity has been introduced. In this method, we need to introduce a well-represented L value for the crucial data like digits. In the L diversity, there can be a similarity and weakness attack. Sometimes L diversity is unnecessary. For example, in the case of COVID-19, if there is a COVID-19 negative cases, then it is unnecessary to have two equivalence diversity class like COVID-19 positive and negative cases. But in the case of patient, we can add the salary equivalent classes. Here the possible attacks is similarity attack. For example, if the Tony is 56-year-old and his address is 32 by 2293, then he belongs to a low income category. Another big data privacy preserving method is a T-closeness. T-closeness addresses the weakness of both k-anonymity and L diversity. For example, if someone knows the age, we cannot conclude that he has a stomach problem or flu, and also we cannot conclude that Tony has a low or high income. Another is a randomization. Randomization is the process of adding the noise or extra unnecessary data or records to the database. We do not need to know about the data to insert the some noises in the data. By adding the noise in the data, the volume of the data is increased and it obviously takes some more storage and resources. Another technique is the data distribution technique. There are two types of data distribution technique. First one is horizontal data distribution. In the horizontal data distribution, data are distributed across several sites with the same attributes. Horizontal data distribution is only used when we use some aggregation function or operation is applied without sharing the actual data. And the horizontal data distribution technique does not ensure the privacy. And another data distribution technique is vertical data distribution. In the vertical data distribution, the data is distributed across different sites under the superintendent of different organizations. If the data are shared among the different organizations, then it is hard to maintain the privacy. This is the example of a horizontal data distribution and vertical data distribution. In the horizontal data distribution, the records are divided into the 4 different sites, and in the vertical data distribution, Australian Crime Intelligence Commission ACIC can access the data from different organizations like insurance company, bank institution, Australian Department of Home Affairs, or Australian Taxation Office ATO. Now, the last big data privacy preserving method is cryptographic technique. Conventional cryptographic technique encrypt the data before releasing it, but in the big data, it is not possible to encrypt all of the data. Nowadays, many organizations use the differential privacy. Differential privacy is the aggregation calculation is done without sharing the data. If the A and B are the two different data items, then function AB is applied for the sum aggregation function. Here, if the analyst need to query the database, then analyst query to the database. But in the middle, there is a privacy guard which checks whether the query is risk-free or not. After the evaluation of the query, the privacy guard sends the request to the database, and the database responds back to the privacy guard, and privacy guard again evaluate the risks, and then finally it responds to the analyst by adding some noise so that the analyzer or attacker cannot distinguish whether the data is original or not. Now for the further presentation, I would like to hand over to my friend Tizifan. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I will continue my part is about application of big data privacy. As we know that big data privacy is important to organization to help them to protect the information that they have to somebody else. Today I would like to give some example about big data privacy in the healthcare application and also in the e-commerce application. Why I choose two of this one? Because a healthcare application always have some problem that the patient's information leaking to somebody else because of their lack of technical support and minimal security of system in the healthcare service. Therefore, when they know the problem, they use some technology that to protect their privacy and security, both of them. Mostly they're gonna use like with four system for protect the privacy. Is the first one is authentication system that is act of attributing or confirming claim made by the subject. It serves a visual function within organization to secure access to corporate network, protecting the identities of user and ensuring that the user is clearly who he is pretending to be. The secondly is encryption data. This data to preventing unauthorized access of data throughout its life cycle and to avoid exposure to be such as packet sniffing and theft of storage devices. The secondly is data making. That this one gonna be liquid sensitive data element with an unidentifiable value. Each use strategy of the identifying data set or marking personal identifiers such as some social security number and supposing. The fourth one is access control. That's most of organization they're using. This is the user can enter an information system, but the access will still be governed by an access control policy. So both of them, like e-commerce, they got the same problem as well, that somebody taking the privacy and authorize of the third party to access the data, and the data, personal data, have been used in the unrelated purpose without their consent. The technology that for e-commerce they're using almost use cryptographic technology that can protect and authorize access the data. So for the case study that I give example about big data privacy is the case study on Facebook. As we know that Facebook was established in February 2004 and become the online social network that have a lot of users, more than 750 million active users, sharing their personality, picture, their activity, and their lifestyle together. Therefore, high demand of users able to exchange information and active bring in a variety of privacy risks of Facebook users. Currently, they have scandal about the unauthorized from third-party access information and use that information in like a purpose for advertising or do the marketing in their business. Let's see what happened inside the what the overview privacy control option on Facebook. Actually, in Facebook, they use information control among the user. That user can adjust their privacy setting to set limit for other user ability to access and upload. And then they use information control between user and third party by using AUTH 2.0 protocol, which used for third party authentication and authorization. With it will divide the layer between law of client or third party application and user. Next one is they use third party application data collection practice. And also use the third party application practice for privacy notice and consent. To control the option on Facebook. Recently, they found that on the third party application practice for privacy notice and consent have identified a number of problems that exist in the current design of authentication dialog. It means that this design of authentication dialog, they have some problem. Therefore, when they know that the problem comes from the authentication dialog, they try to improve that and make more secure for the user. The improved of authentication dialog design that they have planned to develop is that design should create the warning signal for the user about what data they can access. And also the data should have more options that allow the user to control the application data reading and writing. Moreover, the data should provide warning signal to user when data and publish permission required by the app will violate their global privacy setting. The last is privacy indication that the dialog should reflect a user current privacy setting. This is the plan that Facebook will cover and develop the authentication dialog. If this one improve, if this one they can do, this might be can help the user to protect their privacy. So other like a third party can access the information and use that information in the wrong thing. Thank you.